This is the Volvo XC60 and it's a little bit like Bjorn from ABBA because it's been around for a long time now, but it's still looking really good. It's hardly aged. No offence to Agneta, Annie and Benny. Anyhow, we need to find out whether this car really is still a super trooper or has it finally met its Waterloo? Well, in this video, we're going to find out because I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Carwow and I'm not afraid to use terrible puns. Buy, sell, Carwow. Let's start this video by talking about the design of the XC60. Do you know what? This car was released in 2017. They facelifted it in 2021 with some revised bumpers and changed wheel designs. But other than that, it's as it was, but it still looks good. I love these lights, they're just classic Volvo. I like the chrome trim, it's just classy, isn't it? Though you can actually swap out the chrome for black trim if you want to make the car look a little bit more, I don't know, modern or less sophisticated. You can do that on the mid or this top spec ultimate version. Moving down the side, alloy wheels start at 18 inches. That's too small. 20s look really good. I like the general profile of this car. I think its bigger brother, the XC90, just looks overly long. I could tell you about something else that's overly long, but I'm going to move on instead. Let's go to the front. Once again, here from the front, it's got a really classic look, and as I said, at the back, you can change out this chrome on the top two spec versions for black if you want to, but I say no. This looks good as it is right here. A smart looking car, which looks like it's worth every penny of the starting price, which is just under £48,000, though it goes all the way up to £68,000. Now, if you want to check out the latest prices of all the latest cars, just hop onto Carwow. Also, you can see how much money you can save on one of these through Carwow, and the saving at the moment is £7,500. That's all right. Now, if you want to save money on a new car, just click on the pop-out banner up there or follow the link in the description below to go to Carwow. And you can also now sell your current car through Carwow as well. All you have to do is upload some photos, give a brief description, then dealers all across the country will bid on your car. Now, if you want to do all that at a later date with no clicky click click, just simply Google "Help Me Carwow" and we will help you change your car. The inside of the XC60 hasn't really changed much over the years. In fact, I had one in the early days of Carwow as my daily driver. It appears that I haven't aged quite as well as Bjorn from ABBA. One thing that I can tell is different is the digital driver's display. So before, on entry-level cars, you had a analog dial pot digital setup. Now they are all digital. Though to be fair, it's quite a dark and slightly boring digital driver's display. The main infotainment screen is the same as it's always been, so it's portrait, and you control most of the car's functions through it, which is a bit of a faff because some of the icons are quite small. Plus you also have to control the air conditioning and climate control system through here, so that's not ideal while you're driving along. It's much easier to just turn down the temperature by turning a dial quickly. One thing I do like about the infotainment system though is that, look at this, you have Google Maps, you even have Waze, and if you want to run your phone off it, of course, you've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, though they are both wired and not available wirelessly, like they are in a Mercedes GLC. In fact, I think the Mercedes has a better infotainment system. If you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, just click on the pop-out banner up there in the top right-hand corner of the screen. Follow the link in the description. What I can't fault about this car though is the general design and quality. So all these materials feel quite expensive. Ooh, it's soft touch all the way down there. And I particularly like the wooden inlays here. Apparently, it's driftwood. Anyway, let's just check how solid this car is with a classic Carwow center console wobble test. It feels solid. The only thing that feels a little bit cheapy is this hard brittle plastic used for the glove box. Why? However, this car makes up for it because it's got the crystal gear knob. Favourite thing about this car's interior though has to be these wool seats. They are glorious and they're really, really comfortable. Apart from one thing, which I'll reveal a bit later in this video. I can't fault the driving position, which is highly adjustable. Don't know why I said it like that. Look, loads of movement in the steering wheel and in the seat. So if you're someone who likes to sit up very high in your SUV, you can do in this. And that brings me on to practicality. So It's reasonably practical, this car. Got a decent storage area under there with 2 USB-Cs. Under here you have your cup holders, and they will fit big and thinner bottles. You have your wireless charging pad there, which is standard on all models. Your 12-volt socket there if you want to go old-fashioned. You've also got some decent sized door bins down here. Yes, that's me illustrating the decentness. And then the glove box is beyond decent. It's massive, massive. Get in, lost it. But look, huge. Yeah, it's a very practical car. Plus, it feels quite spacious inside, and it feels especially spacious if you have the range topping version, which comes with the panoramic glass roof, which does take a little while for the blind to go back. So just bear with me while it does that. There we go. Let's see if it's any good in the back now. Here in the rear, knee room is pretty good. Headroom's good as well. The runners for the seats do eat into the footwell, but because the seats are lifted up on those runners, there's plenty of space for you to actually slide your feet underneath them. Now, when it comes to carrying 3 in the back at once, there is this big hump in the floor, which means that the middle passenger has to straddle it. However, the middle seat is quite comfortable because, as you can see, it's recessed, so it's the same height as the outer seats. When it comes to fitting a child seat, you've got easy access to the ISOFIX anchor points there. The only problem is that the rear door doesn't open that wide, and the design of this seat back means that it can be quite awkward manoeuvring a seat into place. But once you've got it set up, there's enough room for even a bulky rear-facing seat. Now, some other things to note are you have an armrest here with hidden cup holders, which is good. There is some through loading there, but you have to open it from the other side in the boot. But maybe I can do that. Do a reach around. Everyone loves a reach around. Where is the bloody thing? There we go. Look. Yeah, done. Also, you have some nets here on the seat backs for storage. The door bins are a reasonable size. You can take larger bottles. You've also got 2 USB-Cs there, and on this particular range topping version, heated outer seats in the back. Nice. There is one thing missing from this car that you do have on an Audi Q5, and that's the ability to slide the seats in the back forward and backwards and recline them. Now, if you want to see my full in-depth video review of the Audi Q5, click on the pop-out banner up there or follow the link in the description below. Now let's check out the boot. All XC60s come with a power-operated tailgate, as standard. The boot capacity on the normal version is 483 litres. The plug-in hybrid, its boot capacity is 15 litres less because of the batteries. That's not much of a difference. Now, when you compare it to the German competitors, they start off with 550 litres for the normal versions, but the plug-in hybrids, their batteries actually take up about 100 litres of space. So this is the bigger boot if you're going for the plug-in hybrids. They're the smaller boot if you're going for one of the normal ones. Anyhow, look, there is no lip to lift things over, so you can slide items in and out very, very easily. You've also got some useful tie-down points there and there. 12-volt socket there, place to hang your shopping off there, and to fold down the rear seats you have to actually lean in like that to do it, but I like the fact that on this range topping version the rear headrests just automatically flop down, and now I can release the seat. There we go. And we have a completely flat load bed, which is really good when you want to slide items straight to the front. Love all of that stuff. What I don't love so much is the fact that there's nowhere underneath this false floor to store the parcel shelf. That feature's good, but to make up for this. And that brings me on to 5 annoying things about the Volvo XC60. While you can adjust the lumbar support and the under thigh support on this seat, you can't adjust the headrests at all. Not at all. They're completely fixed. Why couldn't you just move them a bit? Some people might like to move them. I'd like to move them, but I can't. According to the speedo, the top speed of this car is 130 miles an hour. But that is a lie, because Volvo has actually limited the top speed of all its cars to 112 miles an hour, which is 180 kilometers an hour. Shouldn't be a problem for most people, but let's say if you do need to go quicker, you can't, and all this car's competitors can go quicker. And it's probably going to be especially annoying if you're German and you drive on the Autobahn, because the BMWs, Mercedes and Audis will just whiz past you. If you go underneath the bonnet, say to fill up the screen wash, you let the bonnet go, You actually see it, it's hard to reach. I'm not sure, I'm my average height, 179 centimetres, which means most people will have to shut this car's bonnet this way. Done. Unlike most other cars, there is no shortcut button to quickly access your driving modes. No, instead you have to do this. Press this cog down here, which is quite small, then press this tab here, which once again is quite small, and then press these buttons for the different modes, which once again are quite small and difficult to press while you're driving. Brilliant idea. Also, there's no individual mode where you can set up the car's steering, throttle response and suspension just as you like it. However, it's not all bad, and that brings on to 5 cool things about this car. For instance, one thing you can change is what the car does when you're stationary. You can either have it creeping forward like an old school automatic, or you can turn the creep off, put the car into B mode for maximum regen braking, and then you have full one pedal driving. Where the bloody hell have I left my car? Oh, I know what I can do. The key fob has a panic button which will sound the alarm when you press it, but I can use it to locate it in a busy car park or when you're in the wilderness and you don't know where you've plonked the thing. Ah, look, there it is. Brilliant. I can drive home now. The washer jets for the windscreen are actually built into the windscreen wiper, which means that when you spray them, spray doesn't go everywhere and get people around you soaking wet. It also means that when you're driving along, you're not suddenly blinded by spray before it's cleared by the windscreen wipers. It all happens in one single safe moment. You can spec the XC60 with special little child booster seats in the rear seats. I don't have them fitted to this car, so I'll illustrate what they do with this. Oh look, that's better. I'm nice and safe now. If you get the range-topping ultimate version of the XC60, it has air suspension, and you can actually lower the car down on its air suspension by pressing a button to make it easier for your old dog to jump into the back. Another good thing about this car is the towing capacity, which is pretty decent for a plug-in hybrid. So it's 2,250 kilos, which is 250 kilos more than the towing capacity of the BMW X3, the Mercedes GLC and Audi Q5 plug-in hybrids. Big win for Volvo. You can get the Volvo XC60 with a 2-litre diesel engine with 197 horsepower, or a 2-litre turbo petrol engine with 250 horsepower. Then there's 2 plug-in hybrids. The first one has 350 horsepower and this one has 455 horsepower. The plug-in hybrid versions have a 14 kilowatt hour battery pack, and they have an electric only range of up to 48 miles. And it'll take you about 3 hours to charge them fully on a normal homebox wall charger. Regardless of which XC60 you go for, they all have all-wheel drive and an 8-speed automatic gearbox. Interestingly though, the plug-in hybrids have their electric motor on the rear axle. Ooh, fancy. Anyhow, which version of the XC60 would I go for? I'm going to configure my favourite one, the engine and trim combination, using CarWow. Now if you want to see exactly which version I went for and the saving through CarWow, just click on the pop-out banner up there or follow the link in the description and the pinned comment. Anyway, now let's see what it's like to drive. Right, I'm going to start off by testing the XC60 in town, and the first thing I'm going to do is go into my driving mode, which is a faff, go into pure EV. It's hard to do even at slow speeds, and now electric only mode, which is perfect for just cruising around in silence in towns or villages. So the electric only range is supposed to be 48 miles. Not sure that it is, but you can actually drive up to 87 miles an hour in electric only mode. Tell you the truth, it's fairly relaxing to drive. Steering is light, like I can do it one-handed. One-fingered even. Can I do it with my little finger? Just about. Should probably stop doing that. The suspension, well, this one has the upgraded air suspension and it's generally okay over bumps. The versions without air suspension feel a little bit firmer. One thing I'm going to test now is the turning circle. It's actually very, very good on this car. 11.4 meters. This is quite a tight space to do this in, but will I get round? Will I get round? Let's go to the camera setting. Cameras. I need you. Okay. Come on. Whoa! This guy better watch out, man. He's getting into his car. Little does he know that I'm like just centimetres from his bumper. But we are free and good to go. That's really, really manoeuvrable. Now, this being the hybrid, you have regen with your braking. So the first part of your braking is basically charging the battery. And sometimes in cars, that can feel a little bit grabby, unnatural when you transition from that regen braking to normal friction brakes. But on this, very smooth. I like that. In fact, I'm going to go into full hardcore regen mode now, which means that when I lift off, I can actually stop the car. So driving around town, if you're planning ahead, you shouldn't have to touch the brakes unless it's an emergency. Tell you what is good, all-round visibility. I've got the seat quite low. I'm going to jack it up a bit so I get a slightly better view over the bonnet, but I can't fault in any way, shape or form the view out the big door mirrors, and great view out the back, huge rear window. I like that. Anyway, let's go into hybrid mode because I want to see what this is like when I'm going quicker. So now the engine will kick in and it will just decide what to do for maximum efficiency. Okay, now I'm going to do the classic carwow in gear, no, not in gear, kick down acceleration test. So 40 miles an hour, joining the motorway or whatever, into accelerate to overtake, floor it. Bit of a delay there, but whoa. Once the system figures out that it wants you to accelerate, it definitely does accelerate strongly. Quite impressed by that. So what's the rest of the higher speed driving experience like? Well, I'm noticing a bit of noise from the road, bit of noise from the door mirrors, bit of wind whistle. The suspension, you get a little bit of a shudder through the body when you hit like an expansion joint on the motorway. It's not quite as comfortable as a Lexus NX, and if you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-out banner up there or follow the link in the description below. Let's just check the economy. So this thing is supposed to do 288 miles per gallon, but what is the reality? Well, the long term, over 187 miles, is saying 31.6 miles per gallon. That's the reality of some of these plug-in hybrids. If you drive them a long distance, you're effectively just running on petrol power. And then they're not that efficient. You basically have them for the tax break that you get, because you get lower benefit in kind on company car tax, because they have lower claimed emissions. You really do need to charge them regularly to get the best economy out of them. It's the way it is. Finally then, let's try out this Volvo XC60 on a twisty country road. Now I'm going to go into power mode. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It picks up quicker. It does. Bit more urgency from that electric motor as soon as I dab the throttle. It's also obviously holding the car in gear as well for longer, and it kicks down a gear quicker as well without me having to absolutely floor the throttle. It feels a bit more racy, feels a bit more like, it doesn't actually feel like 455 horsepower if I'm being brutally honest, but it feels quickish. As you go quicker and on bumpy roads, you do notice the suspension's a little bit bobbly. Will that be paid off in terms of the handling? Is it going to stay nice and flat? Well, here comes the first corner. What are you going to do, Volvo? Are you going to just topple over? Don't topple. Actually, it's all right through the bends. The steering feels pretty accurate, but I can notice it does lean a bit more than I expected in the bends. A bit more than I expected based on how firmish the suspension is. You're probably misunderstanding me that it's like a firm car. It's not. It's just not quite as like really soft and soggy as you'd expect a Volvo to be. Grip's all right around the corners though. I think it's quite a decent balance of overall comfort and handling. It's not quite as good overall as something like a Audi Q5 in terms of that comfort and handling balance, but it's still pretty blooming good. Volvo says that this 455 horsepower XC60 should do 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. Let's see what it really does. Here we go. That feels pretty rapid actually. Not quite 4.6. Quick. Really quick actually, but not quite as quick as they said. So then, what's my final verdict on the Volvo XC60? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I think that if you're a fly, you're going to go right ahead and buy it. It seems to attract the things like nobody's business. Like some crazy swarm. Anyhow, everybody else, for humans, you should shortlist the Volvo XC60. It really is still a great all-round family SUV. Anyway, I hope you'll enjoyed the video as much as these flies have. If you want to watch some more videos, click on those windows there, and if you click on that box there, you can get a CarWow to change your car. Not only can you buy your next car through CarWow, you can sell your current car through us as well. All you have to do is upload some photos, give a brief description, and then dealers all across the country will bid on your car. It's simple. Now bugger off, you flies.